So let's talk about Mike White. Now, last week I said that he was the right quarterback for this team. And a couple weeks before that, I said Zach Wilson is single-handedly holding the New York Jets back. I think they have something special in Mike White. Now, I watched that Minnesota Vikings game. I watched every snap from both teams. And the red zone play calling was horrendous and very suspect by Coach LaFleur. But I will say this about Mike White. He has a lot of guts and a lot of grit. The thing is with Mike White, and he missed some throws in this game, but when I say they have something special in him, this man went last year and had an amazing game against the AFC champions that went on to the Super Bowl, the Cincinnati Bengals. He went on and had an amazing game against that team. He did go in a downward spiral, but then after that, you look at what Mike White's been able to do. This guy's been a baller ever since he was able to come in and just start for the team. I get it that he's only played 2 games this year. He's only started in 2 games this year. He beat the Chicago Bears last week, and then you look at the Minnesota Vikings game. He played a good game in this game. He did miss some throws. He missed Garrett Wilson on the key potential game-winning play late in the game. You had Garrett Wilson over top wide open, but he didn't play horrible, and he wasn't the main reason they lost this game. Like I said, play calling was the biggest factor in this game, especially in the red zone. You took 5 field goals. You took 5 field goals in this game, and you still lost 22-27, which isn't horrendous. I love every single thing that Mike White is able to do. He stands back there and he goes through his progressions and he delivers the guys the football. Zach Wilson will drift outside the pocket, get himself sacked, doesn't see receivers open, or over and underthrow guys. I think that Mike White long term is still the answer for this team. A lot of people, excuse me, they're stuck on Zach Wilson being the guy potentially, but that's all it is just potential. Potential means you haven't done anything just yet. You know, that's what a lot of people are saying. They're saying, hey, it's just potential. Zach Wilson hasn't had games like Mike White has had with the New York Jets. He hasn't had the crazy touchdown games, hasn't had the crazy yards games that Mike White had last year against Cincinnati Bengals, like Mike White had against the Chicago Bears. It's not a foregone conclusion that they would have won that game last week if Zach Wilson was in the lineup. Okay, the only reason that Zach Wilson is getting these excuses and getting these so-called chances is because he was a 2nd overall pick and they drafted him high. If this guy was drafted later in the 1st round, even a 2nd or 3rd round pick, they wouldn't have him in the same regard that they're holding him in right now. I think that Mike White is the right quarterback for this team right now and long term. The team is taken towards him. The locker room is taken towards him. Robert Saleh loves the guy. He say makes the easy look easy, while Zach Wilson makes the easy look unbearable and the hard unwatchable. Zach Wilson is not a good quarterback in the NFL. I'm sorry to tell you that. I don't want to hear his offensive line. Mike White was the same offensive line. He doesn't get sacked as much, and when he does get pressure, he throws a football away or he steps into the hit and he delivers the football to an open receiver. Is Mike White a perfect quarterback? No, but he's a better quarterback than Zach Wilson, and they have better potential and better upside right now with Mike White. It was late in the game. They had to go for it on a 4th and goal. Mike White ran in there. They pushed him in. He had to help his teammate, but he went in for a rushing touchdown. A lot of people like to say that Zach Wilson has all these crazy throws, all these off-script throws. We haven't seen them. We did get to see some of the plays last year against Tennessee Titans, but other than that, just a bunch of interceptions. The guy is not good. Mike White has shown you he has the accuracy at times and he has the arm. He can get you to a certain place. You can ride with Mike White to the playoffs, and I believe you can win some playoff games with Mike White. Let's put this in perspective as well. Michael Carter did not play this game against the Minnesota Vikings, so they were not able to run the football effectively enough. Okay, let's go with that one for 1. For 2, we've seen Zach Wilson with a healthy New York Jets team. He had his tackle in Elijah Vera Tucker. He was still getting sacked a lot. When they went 5-2 and the defense had to pry their way through, and watching their offense was like pulling teeth. He had an amazing run game with Breece Hall. Besides the 4th quarter against the Pittsburgh Steelers, let me know when Zach Wilson had shrunk a lot of plays along like how Mike White has. In the 2nd half, Mike White did everything he could to get this team positioned to win. And it's no shame in losing against the Minnesota Vikings. They're one of the best teams in all of football. That's just how it is. Yes, they beat a bad Chicago Bears team, but the offense in the last 2 weeks has looked better with Mike White than it ever did with Zach Wilson last year and this year. That's just facts. And don't say it's because I said that Zach Wilson was overrated coming out of college. I was on one of those guys that made excuses for Zach Wilson, but to be completely honest with you, like I said then, I'm saying now, he's just not a good quarterback. And I'm knocking on wood, but if something does happen to Mike White, you got to put in Joe Flacco. Zach Wilson just isn't good enough right now for the New York Jets. The team has went along and he hasn't. The team has developed and he hasn't. Mike White is the guy for this team. He's young enough. He can get outside the pocket. He makes the right throws. He does miss some throws. But this was not a horrible loss for the New York Jets by any means. A horrible loss is what the New York Jets had against the New England Patriots when your offense couldn't move the field. That right there shows me a lot. Changing the quarterback looks like it's a brand new offense for this team. And it's the same play calls that Coach LaFleur was calling for Zach Wilson. And they're still not running the football highly enough like how they did with Zach Wilson. So you get Michael Quarterback in there and let him get healthy. You have good wide receivers on this team. I'm a big fan of Garrett Wilson. He has looked like that first round pick. Every game without Zach Wilson, he has shown flashes of being worthy of that first round pick. Every game with Zach Wilson, you barely hear of Garrett Wilson. You barely hear of guys like Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore wanted to request a trade when Zach Wilson came back into the lineup because he wasn't good. Man, he did request a trade because Zach Wilson couldn't give him the football. He couldn't read defenses effectively enough. With Mike White, we got Elijah Moore sightings. So we know what the offense is with Zach Wilson. I don't want to hear this potential. Potential means you haven't done anything yet. The New York Jets are prepping for the now. They have, in my opinion, a really good secondary. A very good secondary with Sauce Gardner and crew. Their defense is still legit. And they're working on the offensive kinks, of course. Like I said, play calling was a major issue in the red zone. But the fact that they got there that many times is hella impressive. And I get the Minnesota Vikings are one of the best defenses in the league. And I get that the Chicago Bears have one of the best defenses in the league. But you have a quarterback that showed no quit. And he showed a lot of fight in this game because they were down big in this game. So let me know in the comment section below. Am I just tripping about this Mike White thing? I think they got something special in this kid, man. You play him until the wheels fall off. And when the wheels do fall off, and if they do fall off, I don't think that they will, you go to another veteran in Joe Flacco. You just can't put Zach Wilson back out there, man. He's just not good right now. It's just going to hold the team back. And then you figure out what happens with the future later on. But right now, you ride out with Mike White. And you see what happens. So let me know in the comment section how you feel about Mike White, how you feel about the New York Jets. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Another thing too, before I let you guys go, he threw the ball 57 times in this game against the Minnesota Vikings. Zach Wilson has never thrown the ball over 40 times in his career. That is crazy to think about. So that's just one more thing I want to let you guys know before I let you go. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys to stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.